Have you ever dreamed of studying abroad without breaking the bank? Well, this episode is for you. The admission you did say is fully funded. So can you unpack that for us? Like what does it really mean to get a fully funded scholarship? Does it like cover housing, your tuition obviously, and then what are the other add-ons that we might not know about?
When I got the news, it was a dream come true. I've always wanted to do a PhD.
And a special shout out to the University of Ottawa again, because they made this podcast room available for us. All of the equipment were provided by the school. How generous is that? Like, where do you get free meals? Even in Freetown, you don't. So, hi guys, welcome to our very first podcast episode on Ed Explore. Have you ever dreamed of studying abroad without breaking the bank? Well, this episode is for you because today we have a special guest in our midst, Vera, who is currently on a 4-year fully funded scholarship here in the University of Ottawa. So, come closer because in just a short while, we will be spilling all of that details. Isn't that correct, Vera?
Yes.
Oh, it's so good to see you. It's been ages.
Same here. Nice to
I remember we've only been chatting for a very longest time all the way back in Nigeria. So now we are finally seeing you after a very long time. So would you like to introduce yourself to our esteemed guest?
Yes.
Viewers,
Hello,
rather.
everyone. My name is Vera Oko. That's OKO. I'm a PhD student here at the University of Ottawa. And I'm happy to be on the Ed Explore podcast today.
Oh yeah, we are happy to have you, our doctor in view. Isn't that correct?
Yes, amen.
Amen to that. So let's just get right into it because I'm sure our viewers are dying to know. So what are you doing currently now here in the University of Ottawa?
Well, my PhD is going to be a PhD in feminist and gender studies. So
that's interesting.
Yes, so that is what I'm studying. That's my department.
Okay. All right. So how was it like? Could you just walk me through the process of, securing this scholarship? If I get that correct, you got this while still in Nigeria. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you want to walk us through the process? Like, how did you even become aware of this program here in the university, and how did you go on about it?
Thank you. That's a very good question. Well, a question I think most of my friends have asked me as well.
I can imagine.
I'm
curious to know.
Yeah, so what I tell them and what I do think that most people do not believe this, but it's very simple.
Really?
And have you ever heard Ask Google? That is my answer to that. It's Ask Google. So I did a lot of research. Like,
obviously.
First of all, you definitely have to have the intention, right? The goal, the drive. Like, This is what I want to do.
Yes.
Then after that, I went to Google and I searched.
Okay.
I searched for PhD programs in my field. So say you're about to do, or you want to do a PhD in education or in English. So you're going to search on Google PhD programs or fully funded PhD programs into this field or in that field. So that was how I started. That was what I did. I would say the drive is what kept me going because I had been on it for about a year. I would say, we hear this always, don't give up. So those are the tips that I would really give. So I didn't give up. I kept researching. The schools I found with scholarships, fully funded scholarships, such as University of British Columbia, there were several others. So those eventually were not even where I applied to. Obviously, I applied to University of Ottawa. So this is to tell you that University of Ottawa popped up sometime after I had started researching. So I would give it all to research, asking Google.
Again,
So
asking
that
Google.
yes, so that is what got me here.
All right.
And God.
Oh yes, the God factor is very important. Let's not forget that.
Yes.
So just let me know, like, why University of Ottawa? Like you just said now that you applied to several other schools as well, but what made you finally narrow down your choice to come to the University of Ottawa? Ottawa, as they commonly call it.
I stumbled across like several other options,
Okay.
and from the advice, again, from asking Google, like, how do I go about this? How do I apply? It is advised you apply to at least 4 or 5 schools, because the acceptance rates of PhD programs are really, really low, like maybe 6 or 5%, so it could be really low. So the advice is apply to as much schools as you can. I eventually just applied to the University of Ottawa. So then again, like I said, if I was to speak from the perspective of my faith, that's why I keep saying like God, because after immediately I applied to the University of Ottawa, I just had this peace about it, and I didn't apply to any other school.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
And it was so weird. So I wasn't sure I was going to get it.
Yeah.
Because as I said, the acceptance rate is like always really low for a PhD program. And I would also advise.
Okay, let me just. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you short, but I just want to, since we're on it, right? So I obviously understand the emphasis on faith, right? But then again, faith without work, it's dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I just want to know, outside faith in God, that this came through, what do you think? Like, if we can just narrow it down to 3 points or 3 pointers that you think that made your application stand out, because you just said now that acceptance rate is really low, about 5 or 6%, which is very, very scary. So I just want to know, what else do you think in the course of your application made it like eye-catching?
Okay, well, if I remember correct, like I think I've listed a few, which is you definitely have to like research, check for programs in your field, fully funded programs, then apply for those programs. So yeah, you're right, faith without works is dead. So I did have to actually apply. There's an application fee, so I did have to work towards having that application fee at hand. I think when I applied, it might have changed now. It was about $10, and that's about 100,000 naira back home.
Okay.
So you work towards that, and you have that money aside, the application fee. So I did that. Again, like I keep saying, like ask Google. There was definitely an essay to write.
Oh.
Yeah, and of course, I had never applied to like graduate school, so I did have to do research on how to write it. I reached out to some PhD students already from different schools, not just University of Ottawa, and I asked them if they could send over what they had submitted to get their admission,
just to act as a guide.
Yes, and several were very generous, and they did send it to me. So yeah, that helped. So I could see like the format, the way to speak and the way to write, and that helped. So yeah, just put your back into it. I mean, you're very right, faith without works is dead. So I didn't just have faith or have God and then just relax. Like I did the work, it's really hard work. I stayed up, had late nights, writing, researching, making sure the application was good, following all the guidelines and rules. Like there are lots of rules and guides. So read through, make sure you are like working with all the stipulations.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's really good. They're just like everything in life. If you really want it, then you have to really work for it. So, given that the kind of effort that you have to put in, can you just walk me through that moment when you got that email, the life-changing email, so to say?
I think I would say it was really it was an amazing time. I remember I took a trip to South Africa during that period, and I just came back. I was actually thinking of my application on the plane, but then I'll always fall back to God. I remember looking at the clouds And I was just like, God is great. And that just took my mind away from like what I was thinking of. And I came back to Nigeria that same night. As I slept, woke up the next morning, the first thing that greeted me was my admission letter.
Oh my goodness.
It was, I screamed. I remember I was so, because I wasn't like really expecting it. I thought about it, but like you're not really sure. But then I was still like chill like about it, because I had also applied to the University of Lagos and University of Abuja, and I got both admissions.
Okay.
So I was like, if this doesn't work, then I'll go to. But I really wanted University of Ottawa because of my field of study and the specialization that my department offers.
Okay.
It would have been, it was. I mean, I was thinking back then, like, it would have been really great, or it would be really great to be able to work with like these amazing professors that are really skilled in my area of specialization.
Yeah.
So when back to your question, I digress. When I got the news, it was a dream come true. I've always wanted to do a PhD. It started from the fact that I got into school really early. I graduated from secondary school at the age of, I think I was 14 or 15. I was 14, but because of the crisis,
incredibly young, especially in Nigeria.
Yes,
the average would be about 16, 17, 18 thereabouts. Wow.
About 18.
That's quite young.
That's the average, yeah. So
Just
it was,
head start.
So I was really young, and I told myself, wouldn't it be nice to like just keep going and do a PhD really early. And so that it just came like a playful idea, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And so because of the crisis in JAWS, and there were lots of delays, I spent 7 years in my like undergraduate course, and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going.
And this is
7
a course
years.
that's supposed to be
4 years.
Wow, you had almost doubled the time.
Yes, it was horrible, and so I didn't let that water down my resolve. I was like, okay, let's keep going. And then I went for a master's, and I ended up spending 4 years for a 2 years, or for a 1.5 year master's. I spent 4 years for a 2 or 1.5 year master program, and then PhD came, and
that means it's safe to say you're really a determined academia. Is that correct? Is that the word for it?
Yes.
Right, because look at all of that delays, and you weren't even deterred. You just kept going and trying to, reach your dreams. Kudos to you for that, really. That's so impressive. So, okay, now that the admission was, in the bag, so what is it like, trying to prepare all the way back in Nigeria? Have you visited Canada before then, or this would have been your first time coming to Canada and also having to study? How did you prepare yourself for that transition from Nigeria all the way here? Because I know these are 2 worlds apart.
Well, that's a good question. Let me think of it. I can't really say I had so much time to just think and prepare, because I had just 1 year or less.
Okay.
I got the admission in March, first week of March.
Okay.
And I came here. I was supposed to come here in September, but I came here in October. Long story.
Okay.
But I would advise, and of course what I did was that they asked Google. I researched. I had some help applying with visa, but I did most of the research by myself. I did a lot of I wrote. You have to write a letter to IRCC, so the admission is not just enough. You have to write a letter to IRCC.
IRCC would be what body place for
Immigration, Refugee, and Citizenship Canada.
Okay, that's IRCC. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So
you would have to write to them as well.
You have to justify why you're coming.
Interesting.
Having the admission isn't just enough, so you have to really explain to them why you're coming, why it's important to you, what you're going to do after you graduate, things like that.
I'm sorry, just right there. So when you do this justification letter, sort of, do you get any backing from your school, or you're only just going to attach the admission letter?
Yes, you attach the admission letter. You could say more or less you could get backing from the school if there is extreme like delays in granting your visa, then the school could intervene.
Okay.
But yeah, and so to prepare, I would say just research, read up, ask Google, like any questions that pop up, you will see the answers. So yeah, so any questions I had, like about the cold, about the weather, about what I should pack up, I asked, what, and then I got all that information from Google. So I packed more of cold wears, knowing that I'm coming to a cold place. So all my fashion clothes were
out the door.
They're left in Nigeria. They are so lonely in their bags right now. So yeah, I gave some out, but they are still. It was really heartbreaking for me because I love like fashion. Of course, we Nigerians, we are very fashion. Like even here, I get that a lot. Like in my department, whenever there's a meeting or like other stuff, they're like, like your outfit, like, okay.
I know that's the true
Nigerians, yeah. This is it.
We show up and show up. So upon arrival here, the admission you did say is fully funded. So can you unpack that for us? Like, what does it really mean to get a fully funded scholarship? Does it like cover housing, your tuition, obviously, and then what are the other add-ons that we might not know about?
Okay. So the fully funded program in my department, it's the tuition. So tuition is really expensive. You'll be looking at about maybe 20,000 a year, but that is being paid for. So that is the scholarship.
That's quite generous.
Yes,
that is a lot of money, sis.
Yes, it is. So that's being paid for, and then there's the combined to the not study permit, to the admission letter.
Okay.
Is a contract that renews every term for a teaching assistantship. So we PhD students work as teaching assistants every single term. There are all these contracts tied to the admissions.
Okay.
So we are guaranteed work for the entire 4 years.
Oh wow! So you're never out of job while that 4 years is running. So you're able to earn income to support yourself. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can work outside the university, and that is an IRCC thing as well. So you have to do research because it's always changing.
Okay.
But you can work only 20 hours outside the university, and then you can work unlimited amount of hours during the summer because school is not in session.
Okay.
Because I think why they put that rule, they don't want students to derail from their studies. It's because here it's you really have to put in the work, right? Like as a student. Yeah, what you get from the teaching assistantship, you use that to, you allocate it for housing or other stuff.
All right. So you're going to have to sort out your own accommodation.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that you're here, life generally in Canada, what has it been like for you? Just an overview of, feeding, daily lifestyle, transportation, safety, and, just perhaps sense of community and all of that. Can you just let us know how that has been?
I would say I get my biggest sense of community from my church.
Okay.
For people who don't go to church, I don't know what's that like for them, but for me, that's my story. And I do have like great friends from my department.
Okay.
They've been really amazing people and really amazing professors also. I cannot, thank them enough for being so inspiring, encouraging, kind.
It's lovely.
Yeah, we have a really beautiful community in my department. I don't know about other departments.
Yeah, you can only speak for your department now. That's fair enough.
Yes, it's amazing. So that has been my community, my family. So school and church, they're really amazing people there. For transportation, the tuition, once your tuition comes in, the school takes out a specific amount for your bus pass. So you have like transportation fare throughout. You just tap it on the bus throughout the term. You have that.
Okay, that's
very
nice.
Feeding, you sort yourself out again from your teaching assistant job.
Okay,
you're able to handle feeding and housing. The groceries, for people here, it's. I mean, I've heard that it's been cheaper before and it's expensive now. So, so.
Yeah,
But
isn't
yeah.
that a thing worldwide? I think inflation is hitting hard.
Yeah.
Right. So now that your program has started, like, what has your expectation been met with the reality of studying here in the University of Ottawa? For those who might want to, who are still torn, between, there are like lots of schools out there. So why University of Ottawa? Why would they want them to come here? How has your experience been genuinely?
It's been so great. There are lots of resources. I'm just. It's been amazing. There are lots of resources. There are lots of opportunities. The professors are really amazing, really skilled, professional, and they literally they're so. But I will speak for my department. Like, there's just a lot of like kindness in guiding you, towards your work and towards like just doing good research, and I think that's really amazing. It has really met my expectation. Like I just thought that yes, it would be amazing, but I didn't really know how, like in what areas. But I would say it has met my expectation. If I had specific expectations, it has really met my expectations. Amazing professors, amazing friends. It's been great. There are resources. The library is really awesome. I think it closes up by 11, so you can like literally go there and sit and like study till whenever. And there are like lots of resources in the library as well.
Okay.
We also have that's also something that is being paid for by the scholarship, because like every student also has access to gym membership. Like right here,
So for our gym buddies, they are well covered.
Yes, yeah. So yes, exactly. So there's also a pool, in like I think close to the gym as well. So for those who like to swim, that's amazing too.
Okay. Well, it's interesting really that you said, the kindness part really drew me in, like with all that's going on in the world now, people could really use a bit of kindness, right?
Yeah.
And especially coming, all the way from home, you're probably homesick at some point, feeling alone and all of that. So if you can have a warm reception and have all of these people filling the gap for you, it really does count.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Yes. So then let's look at the area of like security here, both within and without the school. What's your experience like? Are you just let us know what that feels like for those who might be a bit nervous to leave home?
Yeah, it's very safe. That's what I would say. Like, it's very, like, I've had friends like invite me out at the evenings, and because back home I'm so used to not, because of the insecurity back home, I don't spend late nights, so I've never been able to agree to like an evening out or a late night. I don't, except I have a friend who's driving and able to take me, but it's safe. Like, my friends keep saying like it's so safe. What are you so afraid of? So I think it's just like what's it called now, just the experiences from back home, but it's safe here.
Okay. Well, that's really lovely. Okay, so sometimes people I just want to know throughout the process, like, if for those who might obviously want to come here, what could be like the things that you didn't do right, that you would like, mistakes to avoid, just to have a smooth transitioning or to have a higher success rate at getting the admission.
Mistakes to avoid.
Yeah, it's been a little over 2 years now that you've been here in Canada. What are the things to avoid? Like, what are the things that you could do differently if you're to go back in time, given the time that you've left home and now that you're here in Canada?
I would say, I learn, well, I don't know, this is very case specific, but I would say learning to drive.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't learn early. I learned like close to when I was coming. And Canada is very broad, very vast. It would be good to know how to drive and to have like years of experience so that when you come here you can just convert it to, is it called a G2 or something, and then get like a car or something. That makes things really easy.
Okay.
I spent a lot of money on Uber. So that's, yeah, learning to drive would be the one thing I would have done differently. But as far as the application goes, I was very careful. I always asked Google, as I said, I was very careful. So there was no mistake I made. I would be like, oh, looking back, I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
I was very careful. I make sure I looked at all the rules, both for immigrations, both for the school. I followed everything, step by step. I made sure I was moving according to the rules.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So it really just boils down to a very thorough research, you would say, and just going through that application like with a fine-tooth comb, just to make sure that everything is in place.
Yeah.
So there was no assistance or an agent whatsoever from the school that helped you through the process.
No.
It was all self DIY.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So if can we just talk about a little bit more now on the grades? Do you have to maintain a certain standard of grades to be able to continue to benefit from this scholarship?
Yes, absolutely. You have to first of all, there's a cutoff point.
Okay.
So when applying in the first place, there's a specific GPA that they are looking for.
Oh,
so
right.
That's part of the research you do. Like when looking through schools, you have to look for the GPA that fits yours.
Okay.
That you're able to get in. And
sorry, so this GPA would be from your previous degree, like from your first degree?
Yeah, no,
or
from they only look at the masters.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're applying to say a master's, then they will look at your undergraduate degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So since a PhD, then they look at the master's degree, the GPA at the master's level, and then when you get in, you have to keep a high GPA to continue, to be able to continue accessing the scholarship, to be able to continue receiving the scholarship. Yeah, you have to maintain a high GPA.
Oh, it's not just enough to get your foot in the door. You have to keep up the tempo
throughout
the program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or else you would be cut off. Like, you can't, if your GPA drops, then you won't be entitled to the scholarship anymore. So,
and that would mean automatically, what would be the consequences? You're heading back home to your country, or
what could be? Stay. You just have to pay your tuition. The only way you would head back home is if, well, in my department, I don't know if it's like this throughout the University of Ottawa, but if you get a C in my department, it's an F. I don't know why it's like that.
The bars are really high.
Yeah, it's so weird because there is actually an F grade. There is E, D, and the rest, but a C is also an F. Mm-hmm. But from a C plus, you've passed. So if you get a C and you get an F and you get another C, if you get a C twice in like 2 courses, then you are out of the program. Like you're done. You're going back home.
Oh my goodness! You really need to bring your A game on.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so right, for Canada, I do know it's bilingual. Do you need a French language skill to be able to make it for this scholarship?
No, you don't. You have to be one, either French or English.
Okay.
For me, I didn't have to, because I did write to the school because they asked like the people coming in to write an English test. Mm-hmm. And then I wrote to the school saying I had been studying like since forever in English. Do I need to write an English test? And they said no. So I think so for like Nigeria, where English is our lingua franca, I think we are saved. But I do have friends from India, from Russia, who wrote the English test. But they respected the fact that I had studied all this while in English, so I didn't have to write the test. So you don't need French, but when it comes to working outside the university, most organizations are looking for French speakers, like both people who are bilingual.
Or so if you're bilingual, then that's an added advantage for securing a job.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for the whole process, really, like, can you just give me like a time frame, sort of like how long it took you or like just for someone who might be planning, so they can know how
apply or to. What the process?
Like the process of applying, and then when the application was, submitted, and when you got admitted into the school, just to help people better wrap their head around what's the time frame.
I think I applied around. It was September.
Okay.
So I applied in September. You can apply October or November. So it's open September, October, November.
Okay.
It's open. Then it closes around end of November.
Okay.
And then I heard back around March, first week of March.
Okay.
So
that's quite timely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So if you want to apply, just check, and then you'll see September. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I think that might be it. But is there anything that I think I should know, or viewers who are intending to come should know?
I think the only thing I can think of, like as a general advice, is to just but this would also depend on the person. Like if this was your goal, I would say just be resilient, because it's not the easiest thing. You have to push yourself. You have to like be your cheerleader, or else you're just gonna like give up at it. It can be stressful a little bit. So just being resilient.
Yeah, I think that's really something that's re-echoed throughout the course of our interaction here. Like the amount of work that I've had to put in, and the fact that it was even DIY. I really love my heart for you for that. I don't know if you can be able to pull that off, and secure a fully funded scholarship. So I can only imagine the work that you must have put in. So something that just came to my mind now. So for those that might want to come with family, do you know anything about that? Is there a room for that?
For this, like, when I say like ask Google, for instance, like when I was researching, there were other programs, especially in Germany, where they would like pay for like spouses and kids and your transportation. But for this specific program, there isn't any stipulation or help for that.
Okay.
For kids and family, you have to sort that out by
yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's really been a rewarding and interesting conversation that we have heard.
Yeah.
If for me, at least, I think I'm encouraged to try and probably pursue a PhD. I don't know.
Hopefully, this episode encourages
and
people who want to do that.
Yeah, the fact that it's all fully funded, so I just have to put in the work. I don't know. Let's see what the future holds. Anyway, that's a wrap on our podcast today. We hope that you really found that helpful. And then at the end of this, we're going to leave some links down below so you can find more resources if you're interested, especially here in the University of Ottawa. And a special shout out to the University of Ottawa again, because they made this podcast room available for us. All of the equipment were provided by the school. How generous is that? Like, where do you get free meals? Even in Freetown, you don't. So, but here we are enjoying all of these world-class facilities. So it's been an interesting time with you, Vera. We wish you the very best in your program. Then we hope to be here to celebrate when it's all done.
Amen.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, guys, that's it.
Bye.
Bye.